Hi everyone, this is Laura and Terry Lynch, and you are listening to the very first episode of Civically Speaking. Yes, you heard that right, civics. Remember that term? Once upon a time, for U.S. students, part of the day was devoted to the study of civics. Do you remember what it is? Civics is the study of the rights and duties of citizenship. It's a rather topical term right now. We as U.S. citizens are asked to make some pretty important decisions, so it only makes sense that the more educated we are on the subject, the better able we are able to make educated decisions. It doesn't have to be dry as dust either. We'll have some fun too. So let's get started. Do you have something for us today, Terry?
Absolutely. And absolutely is the topic, absolutes. But to tell you a little bit about it, I'm going to go back in time to 1787 in the Constitutional Convention, when absolutes came to Philadelphia from all of our states, except for one, Rhode Island. They didn't want to participate in anything. But most of these men that came to this convention had absolutes of their own. They were there representing their states, and some were in agreement that we should change the way we govern as a whole, and others were in agreement that we should not change a thing, because they were happy with the Articles of Confederation. They all were absolutely positive that their opinion was the best opinion. So they came there and they decided to speak freely. It was a very interesting notion. And to protect everyone, they actually guarded the Independence Hall where this would take place, allowing all to speak openly and freely their opinions with no recourse. They all agreed that whatever came out of this convention, they would unanimously agree that it was the best options for the country as a whole and would not hold people's opinions against them when it came time for them to be elected within their states. So that allowed them to freely talk openly about what they were doing. This wasn't accidental. This actually came because of the Founding Fathers, many of them who had experienced travel throughout this vast area that had become the United States of America. And they realized several things. One, this was just the beginning. This country was going to grow and grow beyond their imaginations. And so therefore, they realized things would change throughout. And as it was now, it was a vast difference of diversity throughout the nation as a whole, and would only grow even more diverse as it expanded outward. Right now, they had two main areas. You had your metropolis, or your metropolitan areas, and you had your farming agricultural societies, both with very key interests of their own. And they didn't want to give up any of what was beneficial to them themselves. And the Founding Fathers realized this. They also realized this would grow down the road. But how do you please all the people? Well, as a president later on would say, you can please all the people none of the time. I'm paraphrasing. But Benjamin Franklin put it best. He realized that everyone had opinions, and in every opinion there was some good. Not necessarily all, but some quality of good. And as he proposed to everyone there, the delegates, he said, it's like building a large table. You'll have many planks of wood, but not all of those planks will have 100% quality. So what you have to do is shave off that which won't benefit you and marry it in joints to those other pieces that have good quality as well. Only then can you get yourself a high quality piece of wood to make your tabletop. In other words, you have to shave away what doesn't work and marry it with what does work. He proposed that everyone do the same. Put their ideas out there for everyone, listen openly and honestly, and find the good in the different ideas from the different vast diversity of our land, and shave off what won't work and marry it with what will, coming to a happy middle ground that will make a good law for each and every individual. Never pleasing everyone 100%. They all thought this would be the worst idea, because if everyone's happy with it, something must be wrong, because there's no way we can all agree 100% of the time. So they said, let's compromise, meet in the middle, and take the best of all our different ideas and see if that will work. You heard me right, compromise. Compromise became the voice of the day. They literally didn't want to have absolutes to one end or the other. They wanted us all to compromise towards the middle. Thus, they could do several things. They could please most of the people most of the time. They also would find out that no one could control the government as a whole, because no one could actually get their special interests put forth, because compromise would guarantee you'd be taking part of their opposition and using it. To put it in simpler terms, they protected themselves against any special interest taking control of government policy by playing to a specific minority and only addressing their issues. By compromise, all issues are heard and all issues are addressed. And somewhere in there, they'll address your issues. They realized that as time grew, it would get larger and larger, and there'd be more and more opinions. So it would be almost impossible to favor one small group on its own. We would be forced to compromise as a whole. That would become the body politic of the United States. And it would be the only way that laws could be passed. Literal compromise would have to take place not only within the states, but within the legislature as well, between the Senate and the House of Representatives. They realized that way they could hear what most people wanted, and in turn compromise to find something that would work most of the time. So no one will ever be happy 100% of the time with our government, and at the same time no one will ever be completely unhappy with our government. Why? Because of compromise. Our founding fathers saw absolutes as the one thing that could ruin us as a nation, and compromise not as a weakness, but as the one thing that can strengthen us for the future as we expanded and grew and more ideas were put forth. If everyone knew you'd be willing to compromise, they'd also be willing to give their ideas. No matter how crazy it seemed, there might be something that could be used to help the government and the country as a whole. Hey, don't mind me. I'm just civically speaking.
Well, thanks, Terry. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. We really hope you enjoyed our conversation and got a little something out of it, too. If you'd like to contact us with questions or comments, or if you'd like to have Terry do one of the many presentations we offer, you can give us a call at 708-218-7001 or email us at hfktales@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're not listening to us via our website, why not check it out at www.hfkpresents.com. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is Laura and Terry Lynch with Civically Speaking.